Probably what we're going to see is we're going to see over an extended period of time the development of a significant amount of parallelization of supply chains. So we went from a world that was global, integrated, and just in time to a world that's going to be fragmented and parallel and with a lot of redundancy in supply chains. And as I said, that started in COVID because obviously the COVID disruptions created a lot of supply chain issues. But these tariff policies, I think, in many ways are going to exacerbate that need to create redundancy in the supply chain and in manufacturing. And almost by definition, the world was moving towards the lowest cost production, the most efficient production for 50 years, something like that. And as we transition to a world where we have a lot of redundancy, and that redundancy is in higher cost production areas almost by definition, right? If the economy was set up so that the reason why China produced, for instance, washing machines and laundry baskets and stuff like that was because they were the lowest cost, most efficient producer. Well, if you start to produce those things in the United States, almost by definition, the United States is not the lowest cost, most efficient producer. And so that's what creates price pressure, right? There's inflationary pressure in duplicating the supply chains, and then there's inflationary pressure in producing out of higher cost areas. And that's really, when you think about sort of the strategic effects, the longer term effects, just going back kind of to your question a little bit before, was you can get benefit from employment, from incremental employment from the tariffs onshoring production, but that onshored production is happening at a higher cost. And as a result, essentially what you're doing is you're socializing that cost to everyone who's spending on that good in the economy. And so that's the trade-off. In many ways you could think about, and the fact that you're going to have higher costs in general globally means that demand is going to go down because higher costs mean that people are just going to spend less, are going to be able to buy fewer units. And so you have the combination of tariffs bringing down the overall demand infrastructure, the overall demand in the economy, and then you have this significant redistribution from essentially consumers who pay for it and the companies that meet those consumers through their margins to the workforce that is producing those goods. And how that nets out, it's hard to fully know, is the reality, how that all nets out. No economy has ever implemented instantaneous 20% tariffs, certainly any economies that are as large as and complex as the United States. So we'll see. But in general, the story is much more around the consumer loss meaningfully overwhelms any benefit to a small sector of the economy that gets improved employment as a result.
Right.